Here we go again. My Chemical Romance is a band that's actually eluded me for quite a while, but I was definitely aware of their presence and the general emo scene that was going on in the mid to late 2000s, but I just never really bothered looking into their music. It just didn't really seem like it was for young developing me. Now excuse me while I go back to listening to Linkin Park. The first time I ever really learned anything about My Chemical Romance was actually back in 2017 when Rebel Taxi uploaded the video 6 unmade or banned celebrity cartoons. The last topic he talked about in that video was Breakfast Monkey, and I'll be getting to talk about that later, just you wait. Aside from that video, I think I might have heard the song Na 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 somewhere before, like in a movie trailer, and no, not from the Sonic Generations E3 trailer. So while I never really checked out or listened to their music, there were definitely some clear signs that I was destined to be MCR pilled at some point, like the band forming as a result of 9/11, the song Foundations of Decay, which was their first new song in like 8 years, ended up getting released on my birthday. Like, it almost seemed like the band was trying to lure me in for a good while. I just never took the bait. After I went to see Green Day at the Global Life Field in Texas, on what just so happened to be September 11th, I got back to my hotel room and joined the voice call to talk to my friends about the show. But since it was, you know, the day of, my friends were talking about My Chemical Romance. And then one of my friends, Emmy Jones, asked me if I ever listened to their music before. I said no, but I also brought up the weird signs that I felt like the band was trying to get me to listen to their stuff earlier. So Emmy and another friend, Shaddix, recommended I try to listen to their music soon. The very next day, while I was on a very lengthy drive home, I decided to queue up My Chemical Romance's full discography and listen to all their stuff. And I, pretty instantly became a fan. When I try getting into new bands, I usually like to listen to their full discography in chronological order, because personally, I just like seeing bands grow. So listening to MCR's evolution go from I Brought You Bullets to the Black Parade was one of the most fascinating and kinda satisfying listening sessions I ever experienced. I hadn't really connected this closely with a band since, ironically, Green Day back in 2020. And I remember, for some reason, I was really hooked on the song Teenagers. I don't recall hearing this track anywhere growing up, but the song just really spoke to me in a very bizarre way. I had to have looped it like a million times. It's an amazing anthem and sort of spoke to that teenage version of me that was avoiding MCR for the longest time for no real reason. It's time to come out the emo closet, you fucking pansy. Yes, I know it's ironic because MCR themselves never really considered themselves emo. Teenagers also hit 1 billion streams on Spotify shortly after I got into the band, and I'm pretty sure a lot of those plays were from me purposely looping the track to hit that milestone, so I really did become a fan at the right time. And I hope the rest of the MCR fandom appreciated my contribution to help the band reach that achievement. But of course, once I get into a new band, I start looking up a lot of their live performances, try to track down as many official and or bootleg recordings of their concerts and whatnot, and thus, here we are, a new live band retrospective series. So for anyone who might be new, the basic gist of this series is that I take a look at a favorite band's live history on stage, and the times they drop a new album or whatever. So for this first episode focusing on My Chemical Romance, I'm gonna dive into the band's origins and live history from 2001 to 2005, highlighting as many live recordings of the band that were either bootlegged by fans in attendance, or were officially released as live tracks, professional recordings, etc, etc. First off, I want to give a huge shout out to the channel Spacey Raygun, who helped provide a lot of these early Bullets era recordings. So thanks a bunch for helping preserve these really old MCR recordings, and it seriously helped with making this first episode more possible. And another big shout out to the fan channel, The Academy is My Beautiful Romance, who makes great content constructing and collecting a lot of these MCR shows, and they also said they were influenced by Ultimate Spidey, which is a channel ran by me. So if they're watching, I love your stuff, keep up the great work, and thank you for the kind comments. With all that out the way, let's dive into the origins of My Chemical Romance.
So give me all your poison, and give me all your pills, and give me all your hopeless hearts and make me ill.
I know a lot of MCR fans are probably going to skip this part of the video because they're well aware of all this history, but I just want to feel like I'm teaching people something, okay? Gerard, Mikey, Frank, and Ray were all born and raised in New Jersey, with Gerard and Mikey being brothers who obviously grew up together. But apart from those two, the four of them didn't really meet until after high school. Part of the reason why is because, well, for the lot of us who have seen the Life on the Murder Scene video diary, their parents wouldn't really allow them to go out at nighttime because the areas they lived in were just really dangerous. dangerous.
My mom was just really apprehensive about me and Gerard going out and playing.
There's a lot of, shootings, drug-related crimes, murders, things like that, mafia-related crimes.
But it's not like Gerard and Mikey were really missing out on things. They were both pretty quiet kids in school, never really socializing or wanting to go out, just creating art and listening to music in their pastimes. Ray would later describe himself as a hermit growing up, saying he didn't really make a lot of friends. He would just get home from school and practice playing guitar.
I'm kind of bummed that I didn't hang out more with people because I was too busy being a complete and utter hermit in the back. A man obsessed is what I've been called.
For Gerard, as a young boy, after moving schools a few times, he'd want to try out new things, which led to him getting the chance to sing in a school play as Peter Pan, in what was pretty much the first time he ever performed on stage in front of people. In an even cuter detail, his grandmother, Elena, was the one who taught him how to sing.
The song was called I Don't Want to Grow Up. And the lyrics are like, I don't want to grow up, not a penny will I pinch. I will never wear a mustache, or never grow a mustache, or a fraction of an inch. It's just a song.
Sounds like a Descendants song.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But aside from school plays growing up, he obviously didn't really explore singing or music too much, at least until he was much older. But no, Gerard mainly aspired to be a comic book artist, going so far as to try writing comics when he was just a teenager. He would even appear in an episode of the Sally Jesse Raphael show in 1993, where he was just 16, and he was there defending the censorship of comic books at the time. What a cute little dweeb.
Hi, I have a statement.
That's
I'm
nice, that's the
16.
thing.
I write for Boneyard Comics. Basically, is Grace Ann.
Yes.
Why don't you go after the media? Why don't you go after the other things? Why just comics? Comics aren't just for adults.
Sir,
Comics are for everybody.
But as Gerard got older, he would attend the School of Arts in New York City, managing to graduate with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in 1999. But I'll get back to Gerard's art pursuits in a minute. When it came to the music aspect of these guys' lives, Ray Toro would first play guitar in a band called the Rodneys, who would only release one album, Soccer Time USA, in 1997. A fan even posted it on YouTube if you guys want to check it out. It's a pretty great early display of Ray's guitar playing. But not only was Ray part of this band, but Matt Otter Pelissier, who would later become MCR's first drummer, was also the drummer for the Rodneys. So like 2/5 of MCR were already here. Not only that, but the frontman for the Rodneys, Sean Dillon, would end up being the one who introduced Ray to Gerard Way. After the Rodneys split up, Ray and Gerard would form another band together called Nancy Drew, though the formation for this band is a bit awkward. Ray was on bass for some reason, while Gerard tried singing and playing guitar, but it didn't work out too well. It just wasn't meant to be. After this band broke up, Ray went back to college to pursue filmmaking while Gerard pursued art. But when it came to the other way, being Mikey, him and Gerard were also in a short-lived band called Ray Gun Jones. They never released anything and very little info is known about the band. I'm pretty sure Mikey was playing bass, but obviously this band just wasn't meant to be. But when it came to Frankie pursuing music, his results were actually faring a bit better. Just a bit. He was part of a band that was formed in 1999 called Pansy Prep. They would release a few EPs and one album, which was Heartbreak in Stereo, released in November 2001. This album was actually reissued in 2020, so you can go listen to it on streaming services if you want. It's a solid punk album. But the band would ultimately break up shortly after the album's release. So yeah, it was a short-lived project, but at least they got some stuff out. And a pretty interesting piece of trivia, Pansy Prep actually shared a practice space with MCR when they were first starting out, which was basically Frank's main link into meeting everyone in the band. So that was a summary of the pre-MCR Origins, which leads us to the first significant year of the band's history, 2001. As I brought up, despite his initial music pursuits failing, Gerard still managed to make it through college with a pretty solid degree. The dork actually made it and pursued his art dreams. But now what? Well, in the early 2000s, Gerard started working an internship to try pitching a show to Cartoon Network, with a new cartoon that he and a friend of his had created that was known as The Breakfast Monkey. Gerard even went as far to make a 3-minute animatic to show what the cartoon was going to be like, and it's one of the most outlandish things I think I've ever watched.
Did I hear breakfast? Oh, it's you!
Luche, world famous Spanish wrestling man.
Sí. ¿Cómo está usted?
Oh, silly man. Your language makes no sense to me.
Would anyone be shocked to hear that the Breakfast Monkey is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to make this video? I love exposing people to this little short. By the way, that's Gerard voicing the Breakfast Monkey. Isn't his tiny voice so fucking funny?
Sausage and eggs.
Give me the grilled cheese.
In a 2003 interview with Senton Hall's pirate radio station, Gerard would later talk about the Breakfast Monkey a bit more, and it's a pretty chaotic interview all around. I seriously recommend looking it up.
Didn't you have something briefly with Comedy Central for a little while before?
I had meetings with Comedy Central because I had a cartoon called The Breakfast Monkey that was supposed to, they were really into it for a while, and it was just about this little monkey from Scandinavia that is obsessed with breakfast, and he has magical powers, and he flies, and that's like the whole show. So that's what I was doing. I mean, but I was not very successful at doing anything art related, so I had a lot to say, and there was no way that I thought in my immediate future I was going to be able to say it. And then a little nervous breakdown helped out a lot. And then so I was like, you know what? I want to be in a band. It was my first passion. It was my first love. And I was like, wait, maybe I'm destined to be a band. And let me tell you a story. You want to hear a story of Ray Toro? Be quiet.
Go right ahead.
You really touched me.
I haven't said a thing.
No, you've been laughing like a joke.
We're living it. You ever see Conan where he's doing the whole bit and then there's like the...
Wait, you watched Conan? The other day they showed Conan the Destroyer. Conan the Destroyer, dude, on TBS. Oh my God, that was amazing. You watched it?
Me and my mom watched it the other day, dude.
You guys need to shut up.
So not only was Gerard voicing the Breakfast Monkey, but he also voiced a character called Crazy Boy, who sings a song that was apparently co-composed with Ray Toro, which would make this the first time G and Ray ever collaborated on a music project? Insane if true.
And why are you called Crazy Boy? Well, I'm sure glad you asked that, little egg monkey. Well, when I was a young boy, I put spark plugs in my house. I would do kind of funny things, smoke weed and plants in my house.
Huh, I guess Gerard really liked that intro.
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band.
They would even make a short behind-the-scenes documentary that was uploaded to myspace.com. Good God. I recommend every MCR fan give this documentary a watch. It's incredibly surreal seeing Gerard pursue a project that was very clearly not gonna work out. It's also crazy to watch in hindsight because just 1 year after this, Gerard would start one of the most famous bands in the world. You really never know when things are gonna work out for you or not.
Since we're in this like waiting period or pitch period and it takes so long, I had to get like a crummy job, and
I'm sure something will happen with it. There's a lot of people backing us up right now, and Air's having a great time doing it, so you know, hopefully that all counts for something, hopefully that all leads up to something, and even if that's like a couple years away, you know, that's kind of how it goes, and you know, and then people will learn they should have done something sooner.
The cartoon was also apparently getting a pretty decent following online at the time, at least according to the documentary, which is kind of funny when you realize the first MCR fans were probably Breakfast Monkey supporters. Thank you for your service, guys. Even though this didn't work out, several years later in 2013, Gerard would post a pretty recent art piece he did of the Breakfast Monkey. You cannot destroy me. No, they can't, my little Scandinavian monkey friend. Breakfast Monkey would end up getting rejected in favor for Aqua Team Hunger Force, since Cartoon Network had already greenlit that show and probably didn't want two similar food-themed shows to be running at the same time. Still, imagine the timeline where Breakfast Monkey got greenlit. Whatever, so Gerard went through this huge rejection, but continued working in his internship, while also working a pretty shitty job as he put it, which I assume was Barnes & Noble's cause he and Mikey worked there for a time. And his life would continue on like this, until a certain day in September 2001.
What the hell was that?
Sounded like a plane crash.
Somebody hit the World Trade Center or the...
It's a Trade Center.
The World Trade
Center.
There's a fire on the upper floors.
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way!
me to explain what 9/11 was, but pretty much 4 major airline planes were hijacked by terrorists. 2 of the planes crashed in the Twin Towers in New York City, 1 plane hit the Pentagon, and another plane crashed in a field in Pennsylvania, thankfully missing its target. But as a result, nearly 3,000 people were killed, and it remained a pretty haunting day for the rest of America. But for non-MCR people who may be wondering what exactly the point of 9/11 is for this video, well, Gerard was actually interning in New York at the time, so he was actually in the city when the attacks happened, and ended up witnessing both towers collapsing. Tragically, he probably saw the jumpers too.
Gerard was on a ferry going to work as a comic book artist. He was drawing, I think, for the Cartoon Network, and witnessed the Trade Center towers going down. I'm pretty sure that he saw the bodies falling from the building.
Being so close to the attacks at the time, I can't imagine how horrible it must have been seeing it all go down, and it obviously left a pretty huge impact on Gerard.
I didn't see any of the planes hit. I saw the buildings go down, though.
You did?
Yes.
From where?
From, I'd say fairly close. It was like, it was like being in a science fiction film, you know, or some kind of like a disaster film. It was exactly that kind of feeling. You didn't believe it. Like, it felt like you were in Independence Day or something. Like, it made no sense. Mm-hmm. Your brain couldn't process it. Mm-hmm. And there was like about 300-400 people around me. I was right at the edge. A lot of people were maybe a little too scared to get right to the edge of the railing. All these people behind me, though, they all had friends and family in those buildings. I didn't. So when that first building went, like, it was like an A-bomb. I think one of the first thoughts that went in my head when it went down is, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean for the world? Like, how's this going to change everything?
So at this point of his life, at age 24, he decided to completely change trajectory in his career.
That's when he said, what am I doing with my life? I'm slaving away drawing pictures for corporations and not helping anybody and not making anything in life meaningful for anybody else.
He ended up quitting his job and would give another shot at forming a band again in order to see the world, and more importantly, to save people's lives. And his journey into this probably began pretty immediately. In fact, the 9/11 attacks inspired Gerard to write the first ever MCR song, which was Skylines and Turnstiles.
He went home and I believe he wrote Skylines and Turnstiles.
And witnessing the attacks firsthand would very clearly stick with him for the rest of his life, especially considering the much later released Foundations of the K in 2022 would once again make a reference to Gerard witnessing 9/11. According to Gerard, he would first contact Matt Pelissier to help form his band, which was probably around October 2001, and Matt would end up being a founding member of MCR, becoming the band's first official drummer. Gerard's brother Mikey would join too, needing to improve his bass playing skills first, and more importantly, he would help give the band their name. While he was working at Barnes & Noble, he would come across a certain book, Ecstasy: 3 Tales of Chemical Romance, by Irving Welsh. The chemical romance part really stuck out to him, so he just put My in front of it to make it their own thing.
He was like, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you put a My in front of that, made it My Chemical Romance?
I kind of threw the My on to kind of give it a little twist.
Gerard would also reach out to Ray to join his band as the guitarist, after he was briefly playing drums in a punk band for a short time while in college. You know, considering how amazing and well appreciated Ray is at guitar, it's kind of crazy to think that he almost gave up on his passion pretty early. Man, I'm glad Gerard formed this band.
And when I found out he was playing drums in a band, it just bummed me out. Because I thought, like, he's the greatest guitar player I know, like, hands down. And I've met a lot at that point. I've been around, I've been to art school. To me, in Jersey, there was nobody that could beat him. I thought he was the best.
So here we are, My Chemical Romance was finally together. You'd probably assume I'd have nothing else to really talk about in 2001, but surprisingly, MCR would apparently play their first ever concert as early as October. Yeah, just 1 month after 9/11. Damn, Gerard jumped on this shit fast. The first ever My Chemical Romance concert happened at the Elks Lodge in Ewing, New Jersey in October 2001. The final date's not really known, but I'll just assume it was late October 2001. The only two songs we know that got played at this show were Skylines and Turnstiles, and a cover of Jack the Ripper by Morrissey, which would become a common mainstay for their later concerts in 2002. So apart from those two songs, not a whole lot else is known about the concert, but interestingly enough, Frank Iroh, MCR's future rhythm guitarist, good old Pantsy Prep Frankie boy, was actually at this show. According to him, he said the set lasted about 20 minutes. All of them were drunk on stage, but they apparently still held the whole performance pretty well.
And I remember getting up on a chair and watching the first My Chem show.
We were terrified.
You're drunk.
We were drunk. Mikey was really drunk.
Yeah.
And of course, Frankie would continue following the band, and they would all become pretty close. And that's all we really know about MCR's first concert. There's no recordings available, obviously, but it's pretty cool to know that Frank was there from the beginning, even before he was in the band.
I had a t-shirt on.
That said, thank you for the venom.
At that show. I made it myself. That's how far in advance I would plan things.
And that pretty much ends the 2001 portion of this video. So heading right into 2002, no concert recordings yet, but earlier that year, My Chemical Romance would record what is known as the Attic Demos, aka the Dreams of Stabbing and or Being Stabbed EP. These songs were most likely recorded in early 2002, though there are some claims that point to it being in late 2001. Regardless, these demos would become the earliest known recordings we have of MCR, and when listening to them now, I think Frank would accurately describe these perfectly in the Life on the Murder Scene video diary.
Have you ever heard the Attic Demos? Because that's all I heard when I first joined the band.
The what?
The Attic Demos. It's not together, nothing's in tune, but there was just something about it where you could already imagine what it would sound like put together.
The demos were for Skylines and Turnstiles, Our Lady of Sorrows, originally known as Bring More Knives, and Cubicles. Believe it or not, you can actually stream these demos right now on Spotify and other platforms, because the three of them got included as bonus tracks on the 2014 Greatest Hits album, May Death Never Stop You, with Bring More Knives being renamed to Knives/Sorrow.
You're not in this alone, so let me break this awkward silence. Let me go on record. Be the first to say I'm sorry and hear me out. We could be perfect one last night and look like star-crossed lovers when we fight. Instead of this affair, if you would shed your yellow, take my hand and it's not your fault that no one ever did or was here anymore. It's just a vacant 3x4.
According to Frank, his former punk band Pantsy Prep would often listen to these demos to help them get pumped up before playing concerts. So it's pretty cute seeing Frank support the boys so early in their career. So while you can easily listen to these three demos nowadays, the band also recorded another demo that was for Vampires Will Never Hurt You, with it originally being titled Stabbing. It was made most likely around the same time as the other demos, but it's sadly never been released in its entirety. The most we really knew about this demo was that Frank was present when it was being recorded, and this was still when he wasn't in the band yet. However, we would get a really cool revelation in 2022 when the company Nada Recording revealed on their Instagram account that not only do they still have an old CDR of the Vampires demo, but they would even share a 25-second snippet of the track while also giving some cool behind the scenes info.
And if the sun comes up, will it tear the skin right off our bones? And then, as razor sharp white teeth rip out our necks, I saw you. Someone get me to the doctor. Someone get me to a church where they can.
It's cool that they shared all this info and that they still have a copy of the demo, and I really hope to God we get to hear the full demo in the future because it's my favorite song off Bullets, and the short sample we have sounds pretty interesting. So here's hoping we get to hear the full thing someday. Before I move on from the Attic demos, there is one quick thing I want to point out if you're going to look these up. For some reason, there are some online downloads for the EP that also includes a demo of Early Sunsets in Monroeville. However, this is actually fake. Ergo, it wasn't on the May Death Never Stop You album. It also sounds like utter dog shit and nothing like the other demos. And apparently there was never an actual demo for Monroeville ever made. So if you come across this shitty version of the song, just be aware that it's fake. Carry on. The next events I'll highlight actually happened on March 3rd and May 15th to May 17th. These are the known dates when the band started recording their debut album, I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love. We now know that Vampires Will Never Hurt You would be the first song to get recorded on March 3rd, and the rest of the album would be tracked between May 15th to the 17th, with additional overdubs and mixing taking place in early June, just 1 month before the album release. During the production of this album, our good friend Frank Iroh, who went to the band's first shows and shared a practice space with them, would later become an official member, and helped record a few additional guitar parts for the album.
And Frank played on 2 of the tracks off the first record. One of them is Early Sunsets Over Monroeville.
When we were doing Monroeville, Ray was laying down his parts, and as soon as he was done, I took the parts that they had recorded into a van that had like no heat outside the studio and wrote what I was gonna play.
Though, interestingly enough, he was only credited as an additional musician instead of an actual member of the band, which is kind of funny because he did become an official member by June 2002, and the album would get released in July. I just want to say, I'm seriously blown away by just how fast Gerard and the rest of the band managed to put this album together, and so soon after 9/11 as well. Considering their first concert happened in October of 2001, they were determined as hell to succeed. In terms of other aspects about the production of this album, in 2014, Native Recording would upload a really cool In the Studio 2002 video on their YouTube channel, featuring some pretty rare behind the scenes videos of the band recording the album. And it's probably the most 2002 video I've ever watched.
And there he is, our sweet baby. Where's sweet Chubby?
I don't know, he's home.
Going home. I'm gonna go to Toys R Us. I'll see you guys later. Getting a Count Dooku lightsaber.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna have fights in the yard.
It's a good lightsaber right here.
It looks like a cane or something.
Yeah. Talk to the dog, Mikey.
Woof. 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 You just ate a rock.
Just like the Life on the Murder Scene video diary and the Breakfast Monkey documentary, I think every MCR fan needs to watch this video. It's pretty fascinating shit. Some historical footage right here.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, I like the melody in that.
Okay, the main point of this series is that I'm looking at live concerts. So let's take a look at what is probably the earliest known audio recording of an MCR performance, which happened at Club Krome in South Amboy, New Jersey on June 14th. Apparently, this was their first show with Frank Iroh in the band, so it's pretty cool that we have a recording of this.
This is Frankie's first show with us. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
The audio recording was from Spacey Ray Gunn, who sadly arrived late to the show and didn't capture the entire performance. But the show would lead to them following the band in subsequent performances, and they would record a decent majority of their shows, a lot of which we're going to be hearing later. The recording managed to capture the band playing their Jack the Ripper cover, Vampires Will Never Hurt You, and thankfully there was an encore where they played Skylines and Turnstiles.
It's as clean as your life has been. And no, someone get me to the doctor, someone get me to a church. Well, that can pull this bad out of the gambling home. And you must keep your soul like a secret in your throat. And if they're coming to get me, well, let's try. It's down in this soul. Let me break this.
So while it sucks that the entire show wasn't captured, this is still a really solid audio recording and it's cool to have for archiving's sake. And I also like that the earliest known recording we have of an MCR concert also includes the first song Gerard wrote for the band, so I think that's pretty neat. Alright, the next concert recording is another great one from Spacey Ray Gun, and this time it's a full recording, which took place at the Harmony Grange Hall No. 12 in Wilmington, Delaware on June 29th. I gotta say, even though we only have the audio from this show, just listening to this, it's an amazing display of the band's early stage antics, and this was just before they put their first album out. Something you may notice from these early shows is that the set lists are pretty standard, mainly because the only songs they really had at the time were the stuff they recorded for Bullets, so the band just played what they had, which I think is a bit inspiring. Our Lady of Sorrows sounds so badass live, it's really fast paced and great. Headfirst for Halos is easily one of their best and most important songs, so I really love seeing the song become so commonplace, especially seeing it get paired with Sorrows. Another song they play here, and also pretty often during these early shows, is This Is the Best Day Ever. It's a decent track, not one of my personal favorites, but it's still cool seeing the song have such a decent presence in these older shows. They play their Jack the Ripper cover here too, which is also pretty cool seeing this one get so many appearances as well. Usually the bands close out the show with Vampires Will Never Hurt You, and I love how even at this point in their career, the crowd starts hyping up when they play it. It's easily one of the first popular songs that the band ever wrote, and it's an excellent closer too. I'll be real, I got a lot of shit to cover in this video, but I'm gonna try to leave links to every show and performance in the description, so for now I'm gonna move on to another highlight. Next is a show that happened at the American Legion in Crest Hill, New Jersey on July 5th. It's the same set list as the last show, but it's still a really solid show with a good audio recording again from Spacey Ray Gun. And not just that, but I managed to find an old video recording that captured both the Honey and Vampire performances. And the way I know this video is from this concert is because it syncs up really well with the audio recording. So what we're seeing here may just be the earliest known video recording of the band in action. It was filmed and uploaded by Sarah Lewidden. The end of her recording even features her contact info. I wonder how she feels knowing she managed to capture such a historic moment for MCR fans. Early video recordings like these, especially in 2002, are super rare to come across. And even though the quality isn't perfect, we still see just how insane Gerard's early performances really were. Like, he just completely loses himself when performing. What's also pretty cool about the show is that a recording of the Jack the Ripper performance would later be included on the band's first EP, like Phantoms Forever, making it the band's first official live track to get released, and it would also be included as a B-side for a 7-inch single for Thank You for the Venom, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, another decent show that also has the earliest video recording we have of the band, along with their first official live track. So go check it out. Alright, the biggest event that happened for the band in 2002 was on that fabled day in July on the 23rd. When I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love was officially released. The album got released through the independent label Eyeball Records. It's not my favorite MCR album, but for me, it will always have the most fascinating backstory out of all their other albums, mainly considering just how fast it was made. It perfectly displays the band unapologetically being themselves, and it's pretty inspiring. Both the rawness and even the lack of polish in some cases kinda gives the album a lot of charm, and I know there's plenty of MCR fans out there who consider this their favorite. I would probably call it one of the best and most important debut albums ever released, since Metallica's Kill 'Em All even. Vampires Will Never Hurt You is my favorite song, but some other honorable mentions are Honey This Mirror Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us, Head First for Halos, and Cubicles. Though I'm sure the more I go back to this album in the future, I'll definitely discover more tracks that have kept growing on me. One important thing to note is that while the album is available on streaming and was pressed on vinyl, but the original CD release of the album was printed in really low quantity, which led to this version of the album becoming pretty rare. Even at the time, it was pretty hard to find this in stores, so a lot of fans would attend MCR's earlier concerts just to hear their music because they couldn't find the album.
The more merch they sold, the bigger their band was, because nobody could find the record because it just wasn't in stores. The distribution for it wasn't really well.
Bullets would get reissued in 2004, and another version would get released in 2005 as a special enhanced CD, which had the music videos for Vampires and Honey on it, and it also came with a bonus Eyeball Records sample CD. But even these reissued copies went out of print and are pricey as hell. I do own a copy of one of the 2004 reissues. I managed to snag it for $60 instead of the usual $80 to $100. I'm glad to have it, but man, best of luck to any fan out there trying to get an official CD copy of Bullets because it is no easy task. Literally, the vinyl is more easily available and is cheaper to find, which is kind of ironic. Anyways, Bullets is a really solid album. I debate it's probably the most important one the band ever put out. Its backstory and production is so fascinating. Go listen to it, it's really good. The next concert I'll highlight happened at Maxwell's in Hoboken, New Jersey on August 16th. And what's pretty cool is that this is the first full video recording of an MCR concert, filmed by Josh Gobarb, who later released it in January 2017. Yeah, this one's pretty recent. It's the same set list as the previous shows, but it's still so cool to have such a great video recording of the band this early in their career. Another important note to make about this show, but Gerard and Mikey's grandmother, Elena, was there. And for anyone who somehow doesn't know, their grandmother was the main inspiration behind Helena on 3 Cheers. So I think it's pretty cute that she was at some of their earlier shows.
And my mom is here, my grandma is here, my uncle is here. And all of you are here with us tonight. So let's start.
and huge MCR fans may recall that later on in 2007, the band would famously play here again during the Black Parade tour, releasing that entire concert on the Black Parade is Dead DVD. Though that's for the next episode, so if you want to watch an earlier show of them performing at the same venue just shortly after their first album dropped, then go check this show out. And thank you Josh Gopfar for recording this. It's legendary. The next one's going to be a quick highlight, which is a concert that happened at the Fireside Bowl in Chicago, Illinois on December 2nd. It's an early video recording by Brad Nolan, who actually filmed some of their shows for the band's manager at the time, Brian Schechter. So for MCR historical purposes, it's pretty cool that we have this. The only downside about this recording, and the main reason I'm looking at it briefly, is that the audio is not very good. It's super overblown and it's just loud as fuck. I'll lower it a bit for this video. So while the audio's a bit disappointing, the video's still a neat novelty to have, and more importantly, it captured the band opening the show with an early version of a new song, which would later become a 3-cheer song. It's not a fashion statement, it's a fucking death wish. While the audio recording kind of fucks up the performance, this song is thankfully going to become a pretty common mainstay for the earlier shows, so I look forward to its other appearances. So yeah, apart from the pretty awesome opener, it's the same setlist as before, the same pure chaotic energy like the previous shows, so if you can't get past the audio issues, then go check this one out. It's fun.
Why is your band so violent? Why not?
It's not violence, bro. It's just aggression.
The last concert I'll highlight in 2002 happened in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on December 18th. It's another solid audio recording from Spacey Ray Gun, and it's the exact same setlist as the previous concert, but now the audio's listenable. So because of that, we get a great recording of the early version of It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Fucking Death Wish. So if this is one of your favorite 3-cheer songs, go listen to this early version because it's pretty insane but also kinda cool to hear. Again, just another solid old recording of the band, so go check it out, and this ends the 2002 portion of the video. We've now arrived to 2003, and the first concert I'll look at for this year is another one at the Fireside Bowl, which happened on January 11th. It's yet another video recording of the band from Brad Nolan. However, this time the audio is a little easier on the ears. It's got the same setlist as before, but it's still a really killer show I recommend watching. Gerard's chaotic energy in these early shows is so mesmerizing to watch. One commenter pointed out how Gerard is touching people's heads like he's baptizing them, which just made me laugh. And at some point during the show, Gerard thanks the owner of the venue for giving him a copy of Eminem's Lose Yourself, with Ray even playing a snippet of it on his guitar, which is pretty cool.
Yo, I want to thank all the people that on this tour brought me a copy of Eminem's Lose Yourself. Oh shit, Mom Spaghetti.
This is also one of their last shows to feature their Jack the Ripper cover. Seriously, Gerard is so close to the crowd here, it's nuts. He even crowd surfs at the end of Vampires. Same with Frankie. Just a lot of fun. The next concert I'll highlight happened at Mississippi Nights in St. Louis, Missouri on February 20th. This was another video recording uploaded by Brad Nolan, but the unique thing about this one is that it includes soundboard audio, which would be a pretty great addition, but the mixing here wasn't very good. Like, there's these really annoying beeping sounds and bad audio buzz throughout the recording, which the latter unfortunately gets worse as the video goes on. I think it appears to be the sound engineer trying to adjust the audio mix on the spot. But despite the weird mixing issues, this is still probably the earliest known MCR concerts with a soundboard recording that we have. I just wish it was a little better. The show has a similar set list as before, but Jack the Ripper was dropped in favor of Skylines and Turnstiles, which is a better choice in my opinion.
You're not in this circle. Let me break this awkward silence. Let me go on record. Be the first to say I'm sorry. Hear me out.
But if you're able to get past these pretty awful sound mixing issues, I'd still say this is a pretty fun recording of the band that's worth checking out. Also, if you're a longtime viewer of my live band retrospective videos, some of you may remember that in my first ever video about System of a Down, which was also the first live retrospective I ever did, System of a Down actually played this exact same venue in 1998, and there's even a full pro shot recording of that entire concert. Though there was a minor mistake I made in that first video, where I mentioned while yes it is a pro shot recording, I also said it uses soundboard audio, but it doesn't. The audio is actually from a microphone at the venue that's pointing at the speakers. I'm not sure why they couldn't use the soundboard audio. I guess the record label just didn't allow them to, but that's a detail that's been bugging me since I first uploaded that video, so just wanted to get that out the way. But if you want to watch that concert, I'll also link it below with the other MCR show. Anyways, moving on. The next concert happened at the Beaumont Club in Kansas City, Missouri, and one day later on February 21st. This concert has 2 different video recordings that were uploaded by Brad Nolan, with one being far away from the stage and is pretty dark, but it has soundboard audio. Some of the beeping noises from the previous show do appear at the start, but thankfully it's nowhere near as often as the last show. So I'm guessing after how disastrous the first recording went, the sound engineers were actually able to mix this show better. When it comes to the other video recording, it's actually at the front of the stage with better views of the band, but it's using camera audio. But I am still able to sync up the soundboard audio with this video recording, and I uploaded a merge of both recordings on Ultimate Spidey, which I'll link in the description. Similar set list again, but it's still a fantastic early recording of the band. Plus, it's pretty cool getting a clean, early soundboard recording of It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Fucking Death Wish. It sounds tight as hell. One thing from these early shows that you may notice is how Gerard keeps referring to Honey, This Mirror Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us as plainly track 2, because, you know, the name of the original song is such a mouthful, which is pretty funny. Kinda reminds me of what Billy Joe did when Green Day played at Wiltern Theater in 05. Yeah, that's an obscure reference no normal person's gonna care about.
Way more guitars, here's track 2. This song is called track 2. It's also called Jesus and Some Suburbia. Here we go.
So yeah, it's a pretty great recording with excellent soundboard audio. Go fucking check it out, it's great. The next concert I'll highlight happened at the Canopy Club in Illinois on May 7th. Once again, this show's available in 2 great video recordings that were uploaded by Brad Nolan, but sadly, it's going to be the last recording of his that's featured in this video. I'll link his channel in the description because I seriously recommend looking up all his other video recordings. It's been pretty great stuff. One of them is a regular video recording of someone far away from the venue filming the band, but the other video is basically a pro shot recording, since it's a 4cam edit with soundboard audio, giving us pretty much the earliest pro shot recording of MCR, though the one downside is that Brad's original upload had the audio mixed down to mono, and it was shifted to the left channel, which is really annoying. Not to mention it cuts in during Honey, or track 2 as Gerard called it, but for the most part it's a pretty solid soundboard recording. And like the last show, I did my own edit combining both videos on Ultimate Spidey, so you can check it out there if you like.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
However, there is one very noteworthy thing about this concert, which I think a lot of Bullets MCR fans are gonna love. While it's mostly the same setlist as before, even featuring the early version of It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Fucking Death Wish, we also get a pretty rare Bullets track to hear live. It's Drowning Lessons. It is a huge fan favorite MCR song, and it would sadly become pretty infamous for never getting played live. Though part of the reason why is because the song might be a bit cursed. I think Gerard would later point out that the reason they don't play Drowning Lessons live anymore is because they kept running into too many issues when performing it. They would experience a bunch of technical issues, sometimes the band members would miss their cues, and Gerard just personally doesn't like singing the song. It's a pretty dark one when you look at the lyrics. But regardless, I'm glad we have a pretty solid recording of them playing it live, especially with soundboard audio. Like, that's rare. So if you really love this song, go check out this performance. It's literally one of the only ones we're ever gonna get. The next concert I'll quickly highlight is another Pro Shot recording. This one took place for iMusicast in Oakland, California on May 23rd. The show's available in a pretty decent 20-minute Pro Shot recording of the band, and the audio mixing on it isn't too bad either. The only downside is that it didn't capture the full show. It cuts in during Our Lady of Sorrows, and I'm gonna assume the show opened with Honey like all the other ones. But apart from that issue, it's a great Pro Shot recording of the band. I love seeing early footage of the band being professionally filmed. It's so fucking cool. I gotta say, it's pretty interesting how This Is the Best Day Ever is a pretty commonplace song for these early shows. It's not one of my favorites, but I do like that they're playing it. It's always a fun performance. Not much else to say about this show. It's a great recording, so go check it out. Next is a concert that happened at the Bloomfield Ave Cafe in Montclair, New Jersey on June 8th. Hey, this concert took place exactly 1 year before the release of 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. That's pretty cool. This show's available in 2 audio recordings that were uploaded by Spacey Raygun. One's a regular audience recording that sounds pretty solid, and the other is a soundboard recording, which again sounds pretty good. The only downside is that it cuts in during Honey. So I made a 2 source merge edit on Ultimate Spidey, where I synced up both the soundboard and audience recordings as best as I could. They're great audio recordings for such an early MCR show. Same set list as before, but we get another rare Bullets live track. Though while it's not as rare as Drowning Lessons, it's still a huge fan favorite MCR song. It's the epic 6-minute finale for Bullets, Demolition Lovers. Hearing this song live, especially this early in the band's career, is fucking cool. Not to mention, getting a soundboard recording of Demolition Lovers? That is so cool! So if you love this song, go check out this performance. Holy shit. I love how the crowd even sings along with Gerard. These guys were destined to succeed.
With this trunk of ammunition too, I let my days with you in a I'm trying to let you know just how much you mean to me. And after all the things we put each other through.
The next concert's actually a pretty big one. It's the concert that happened at the Knitting Factory in New York City on June 26th. We have great audio recordings of both the soundcheck and the show made available from Spacey Raygun, and, well, I should probably get this out the way, but the reason why this is one of the bigger shows for the band so early in their career is because it features the pretty infamously unreleased song, Sister to Sleep, one of the best MCR songs they never released. So the backstory for this song is that they originally made it for Freddy vs. Jason, but I'm sure due to some weird industry issues out the band's control, it ended up getting left out the movie's soundtrack. The song would never be released and was very, very rarely played live. But thanks to Spacey Raygun, we have some really solid recordings of the band performing the song. Like during the soundcheck, after the band briefly plays Honey, they then played Sister to Sleep. However, they ended up soundchecking the song 2 times. So we have 2 full recordings of the song outside the show, which is really cool. But apart from the soundcheck, the main show's really fun too. But before I get to the Sister to Sleep performance, this show would also be special because they released 2 live tracks from it. The first one was for the Our Lady of Sorrows performance, which was released as a live track for the Head First for Halo single, and it sounds pretty good. The second live track was, ironically, the Head First for Halo's performance, but this one got released on a 2-CD compilation album, In Honor, a Compilation to Beat Cancer, which was released in 2004. It's a pretty decent live track, but for some reason they cut out the intro from the song.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
But of course, sandwiched between these 2 songs is the pretty infamous Sister to Sleep. Honestly, it's a pretty excellent song, and it's a shame they never officially released it in any way. But at the same time, I'm very thankful we have such a great recording of the song too. The band would later discuss the song in a radio interview, which was the same Senton Hall Pirate Radio 89.5 interview, and in it they did say they really liked the song and planned on releasing it later, but for some reason they just never did.
Question is, he'd like to know what that new sleep deprivation song is about.
Yes!
It is about sleep deprivation.
Oh, really?
It's called Sister to Sleep.
Uh-huh.
And it's about, if you guys are familiar with comic books, I'm going to get a little dorky for a minute. And if you guys ever read Sandman, the sister of sleep, in the Sandman comic, the Sandman, he's sleep, right? His sister is death. So it's the sister to sleep, but sleep and death are very similar. So I wrote a song about that, and that's it. It's about sleep deprivation, being in a sleep deprivation, like an institute for that, and not being able to sleep, and then people trying to make you sleep, and if you go to sleep, you're going to die, and you know it, so you're trying not to, so.
So reasons for insomnia, huh?
Jason. All right, you want to really hear a real story? It was like 2 days into our new songwriting process, right? And so we had a lot of parts actually lying around from before we left for tour, when we got back from tour, whatever. Now, Jason vs. Freddy, that movie that's coming out, right? I'm really psyched about it. There's a chance that we were going to be on the soundtrack. So we're like, okay, well, we have a song. I could make it on the soundtrack. And it's pretty sweet. Let's write it. Let's just finish it today. And so we were doing it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this song about sleep deprivation or having nightmares because, you know, obviously that's Freddy Krueger. We're into that. And we've been in a horror movie since the first record. You could obviously tell that, you know. It was very natural for us to write that, and we just did it. And we said, okay, it's about Freddy Krueger. So there you go.
Never. We got screwed, and it's not going to be on there. We got stuck
now
with the sleep deprivation
about
song.
much deeper things.
So is this a song that you think is going to make it to the record, or do you think it's going to be a B-side?
We love it. Yeah. We think so. We played it live, and kids started moshing as soon as we hit the first note. So we're like, okay, let's do this.
To my knowledge, this concert was the only time Sister to Sleep was ever performed. That was until 19 years later, when during their 5th concert at the Kaya Forum during their 2022 reunion tour, they would play Sister to Sleep again. It had new lyrics, which does make sense. The song was 20 years old at this point. It was also never released, so of course the band's gonna keep tweaking it. But at the same time, it's so fucking cool that they finally played the song again after nearly 2 decades. Obviously, I'm not gonna cover that concert until a few videos later, so I wanted to at least highlight it here. Also, my friend Shaddix actually went to this concert, so he ended up getting to see Sister to Sleep live, and he didn't even know what the song was. Lucky bastard.
Last night I kissed them lips, I get up. What did I say? That's my stage up. But just to say, and what
But getting back to the Knitting Factory, it's one of these early concerts I highly recommend to any MCR fan to listen to. It's got a great set list, 2 solid live tracks, the rare Sister to Sleep performance, and to make it even better, Demolition Lovers was played here too. So overall, great concert, go check it out. Next is a concert that happened at the New York State Fairgrounds on July 5th. It's a pro-shot recording of Vampires Will Never Hurt You, which was officially released as part of a Hellfest 2003 DVD. Nothing else is known about this concert or its set list, but it's still an awesome video recording worth checking out. The next concert happened at the Chameleon Club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on July 26th. It's another audio recording that was uploaded by Spacey Raygun, and I assumed there was going to be another solid audience recording like before, but upon listening to it, it's actually a soundboard recording, which caught me so off guard when I first listened to it, and it sounds great. But what's probably the most important thing to note about this show is that a brand new song got played here, which was Bury Me in Black, which had a demo of it included on the Japanese version of 3 Cheers, and would be featured on the Life on the Murder Scene CD. I'm pretty sure this was the first time they ever played the song, and the name of the song wasn't even finalized yet, so Gerard would introduce it as this.
Here's a brand new song. It's like 3 days old, so it's all fucked up. It's called Babysitter Got the Time Bomb. Fuck you, Yankee Blue Jeans.
Interesting title. Regardless, it's a great early performance of this song, and it's cool that it's a soundboard recording too. Apart from that song, the rest of the setlist is pretty standard, but I still think it's pretty crazy to see that It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Fucking Death Wish was still a pretty regular part of these concerts, especially considering 3 Cheers wouldn't get released for another year. And I also just love getting early soundboard recordings of Vampires Will Never Hurt You. It's my favorite song off Bullets, it's always fun to hear live. The next show was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on August 19th. It's another solid audio recording of both the soundcheck and the show from Spacey Ray Gun. It has a decent set list like before, but one thing to note is that during the soundcheck, you can hear Ray start playing some very familiar guitar riffs, which kinda sounds like an early version of I'm Not Okay. Ray, hold on to that riff, it might become a banger later. But like I said, it's another solid set list like before, and Bury Me in Black gets played again. Though this time, Gerard introduces the song like this. Seeing them change the name of these songs so early in their careers kinda reminds me of something that Gerard would later say at the 2007 Maxwell's concert.
I'm not gonna tell you the title, because then like a year later when we retitle it, you guys will bitch about it, so. You know it's true! You know it's true.
I guess he wasn't wrong. Another thing to note about the show is the Head First for Halo's performance, which included a guest appearance from the band Midtown, who I will always remember for the song Give It Up on the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say for now. Next is a concert that takes us back to Club Krome in South Amboy, New Jersey, on October 31st. Man, it must be so cool and fun seeing MCR on Halloween, which is also Frank's birthday, by the way, so that just sounds like a blast. There's a full video recording of the concert, which captures everything except the encore, which was recently uploaded by MCR Stuff and Things, and I decided to sync it up with a complete audio recording of the show that was provided once again by Spacey Ray Gun. But there was also additional footage that was filmed by a different channel, the Art of Only Storytelling Archives, which also included a fun interview with Gerard, which I recommend checking out.
I've seen you guys in like Kansas City, like I've seen you guys like, you know, your fan base grow, like How do you feel about that?
I mean,
like how quick you guys'
yeah.
fan bases grow.
It's crazy and amazing and beautiful and all this, it's what every band wants, I mean, like, more than anything.
The concert itself seemed like a blast. Seeing the band members dress up for Halloween is so fun.
That's if you've inside the and after seeing what we're done, but we're still in place. And I said, and if the world is something
Plus, for any fans of Drowning Lessons, it was played again at this show, and sadly it's one of the last times they'll probably ever play it. I'm glad we at least have solid recordings of them performing it. This song technically debuted in a previous show, but this concert features an early performance of another 3 Cheers song, I Never Told You What I Do for a Living, which was also the last song on 3 Cheers. And just like Fashion Statement, this early version differs from the album. In fact, it sounds a bit closer to the demo version on Life on the Murder Scene, so it's pretty cool seeing the song get played so early on.
Alright, so we're gonna go make a new fucking record. Here's a song off it. It's called I Never Told You What I Do for a Living.
And speaking of closing songs on the albums, Demolition Lovers is played here, and it's pretty neat to finally have a video recording of it.
And I feel like there's nothing left to do but prove myself to you. And but this time, I mean it. I'll let you know just how much.
But like I said, the video recording doesn't capture the entire show. After Vampires, they played one more song during the encore, and it's another very rare Bullet song to hear live. It's the beautiful Early Sunsets in Monroeville, and it doesn't sound too bad live. I'm a little sad this didn't become a more commonplace song, but I'm glad we at least have one recording of it being played live. Next is going to be the last concert of 2003 that I'll look at. This one happened at Irving Plaza in New York City on December 14th. That's a pretty huge venue for the band to play at. And we have another great audio recording of the full show from Spacey Ray Gun. Weirdly, Skylines and Turnstiles doesn't get played here, but we do get an early performance of another 3 Cheers song. The very flamboyant masterpiece, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison? Just like Never Told You and Fashion Statement, this early version differs from the final song, and more importantly, the way Gerard intros it is pretty fucking crazy.
This one's about going to jail and getting It's called, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison.
But aside from the prison song, Bury Me in Black is played again, and this time it got introduced as...
Here's another new song, fuck asses.
Not only that, but they also play I Never Told You What I Do for a Living, which also apparently didn't have a final name either because Gerard calls it this. God, that must have been a weird looking set list at the time. You know, considering what venue this is, if the band had just waited 1 year to play here, we probably could have got pro shot recordings. But for now, the audio recording from Spacey Ray Gun still sounds great, so go give it a listen. Before I move on to the next year, it should be noted that between October 2003 and February 2004, the band would begin recording their second studio album, which was the absolutely iconic and legendary 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. This time around, the band was no longer independent, signing with the major label Reprise, which was the same label that signed Green Day, which led to MCR touring with Green Day as a result, and during the band's American Idiot tour too. And I guess if you're an asshole, this is when MCR sold out or whatever. While you can check out the Life on the Murder Scene video diary to get some behind the scenes stuff about the album, online there's a pretty decent amount of pre-production videos of the band working on the album. A few MCR fans compiled these together, so I'd recommend looking these up if you're curious. Going right into the year of 3 Cheers, the next concert happened at the Theater of the Living Arts in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on April 13th. It's another audio recording from Spacey Ray Gun, though this one is sadly incomplete, with the recording fading in while the band was in the middle of performing Helena, the earliest known recording we have of them playing the song too. And after they play Honey, they perform another 3 Cheers song, Hang 'Em High. Not one of my favorites, but it's still pretty cool that we have such an early recording for the song.
It's a song about cowboys called Hang 'Em High. We're dancing in face of black, we're into the sunset when I die for you. Well, I've got something to say. But now since I found your neck, but I see that this is when I die to you. Well, here's your retrospect. Shotgun said, wild eyed chokers, don't you in my sight.
And after Hang 'Em High, we get yet another 3 Cheers song, and it is the song that I was personally waiting for this whole video. This concert gives us the earliest known recording of them performing the oh-so-iconic I'm Not Okay, I Promise, the lead single from 3 Cheers, and it's probably my favorite song from the album. I don't care if that's a basic bitch choice. This is the theme song to Introverts Everywhere, and I appreciate this band for making this anthem.
Such called I'm not okay, but when you broke up, jumping out, the seconds are about
and I love Vampires being the closer. 2004 would be the last time it was really used as one. Moving on, the next concert I'll look at happened at the House of Bricks in Des Moines, Iowa on May 17th. The full show is available in a super rare video recording that you can find on YouTube pretty easily. It's not a great recording, especially in comparison to the other videos we looked at, but it's still pretty cool to have. And this footage gives us the first full recording of Helena being played live, the amazing opener for 3 Cheers, and it's one of the band's best songs. The song was also based on Gerard and Mikey's grandmother, Elena, who sadly passed away before 3 Cheers got released. So the song is a very beautiful tribute to their grandmother. Not only that, but we also get videos of them performing Hang 'Em High and I'm Not Okay, which is a blast. Yeah, the set list for this show is a pretty fast, quick one. Like, the 3 Cheers songs are starting to take over the set list, though obviously there's still some Bullets tracks that are sticking around. For starters, they actually opened the show with Our Lady of Sorrows, and after I'm Not Okay, they performed Demolition Lovers, in one of the only known times they played the song in 2004, so it's pretty great that we have video of it. Alright, the next big event that happened with the band in 2004 is the most obvious one. On June 8th, they released their second album, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. It is an absolutely legendary and iconic album that seriously helped the band become a household name. I mentioned earlier that my favorite song off it was I'm Not Okay, but my other favorites include Helena, Give 'Em Hell Kid, To the End, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, The Ghost of You, and Thank You for the Venom. This album still holds up after 20 years. It is an excellent follow-up to Bullets, and also really paved the way for the legendary Black Parade, which would come out 2 years later. This would also be the last album to feature one of the band's founding members and original drummer, Matt Pelissier, which I'll get into why later. Not only is the album great, but the music videos for them are so legendary.
You like D&D, Audrey Hepburn, Fangoria, Harry Houdini, and croquet. You can't swim, you can't dance, and you don't know karate. Face it, you're never gonna make it.
I don't want to make it. I just wanna.
I'm Not Okay is iconic and fun. The Ghost of You video is incredibly powerful and has some amazing production values.
And Mikey fucking dies in it! No!
And also, the Helena music video is not a music video. It is a beautiful work of art. By the way, a lot of these music videos were directed by Mark Webb, who would later go on to direct 500 Days of Summer and The Amazing Spider-Man. That's neat.
You know? You have something in your eye.
Plus, after they shot the Helena music video, they would basically adapt the costumes from the video into their live performances. So the video was so iconic it made them change their stage personas for a while. That's amazing. So yeah, 3 Cheers is great, go listen to it, it's a fantastic album, an absolute masterpiece. It's also my friend Shaddix's favorite MCR album, so go give it a spin.
My friend Frodo Baggins over here, I think.
Frodo Baggins. A little bit. He can fit standing up.
He's used to being inside lockers. I think we want to play a lot of video games and collect a lot of toys.
We want to roll up Dungeons and Dragons characters.
That's what we really want to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's just get this together. All right. First off, 3 members like Dungeons and Dragons.
Are you one of them? Are you one of them?
I watched the cartoon when I was young, and then that's about it. But no, I don't go on quests. That's more of a Gerard thing.
I paint little orcs. That's really weird, especially for like 27-year-old. I have a Hobbit sword.
Now, do you guys watch porn?
However, June 8th, 2004 not only marked the release of 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, but they would also do a release concert for it, which took place at the Vintage Vinyl Records in Fords, New Jersey. Spacey Raygun uploaded another solid audio recording for the full show and soundcheck, but there's also a solid video of it too, which was uploaded by Vintage Vinyl themselves. It's another fun, great show that I recommend checking out, and just when the band was about to get super huge too.
Just like a man, strive to incinerate the lives of everyone you know. Say your prayer, yeah. Now, will I care? Will I don't know? I will just do what I gotta say. Will I care? Will I care? Yeah, yeah. You want to love, not another. Ain't it hard for you, desire?
So yeah, they play Helena, Prison, and I'm Not Okay, and then for the encore they do It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Fucking Death Wish. And obviously at this point they're playing the album version. But it is kinda cool that we kinda witnessed the evolution of a lot of these songs in the previous shows. Like just look at where the songs got to now. Ain't that shit cool? Are you starting to finally get why I keep making these videos?
I'm Joey Southside here to tell you about my friends in My Chemical Romance's new record.
My Chemical Romance!
My Chemical Romance.
New record, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge!
My Chemical Romance.
New album!
In stores now.
Go buy.
The next concert happened 2 days later, which was at the North Star Bar in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on June 10th. It is available in a full soundboard audio recording that was posted by Spacey Raygun. I think it's like the most recent concert they've posted so far, and while it's cool that it was a soundboard recording, it did have a lot of issues. Like the audio quality starts to drop near the beginning of Our Lady of Sorrows, and it gets mixed down very low during Honey, and as a result, Helena is barely listenable. It does get back to sounding kinda decent partway through Fashion Statement, and the recording sounds fine for the rest of the show. Actually, it kinda sounds like they switched from soundboard to just regular bootleg audio, which if the sound mixing was getting really bad, it was probably for the best to just switch to the other output.
Make you wanna stop and you can't train me. Operations back.
It's a bit of a shame that the audio issues kinda mess up half the show, but thankfully the last 5 songs sound fine. One thing to note is that there's actually 2 pretty rare video recordings from this concert, and they're videos for Headfirst for Halos, and You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, which are pretty cool to have. And it's a good thing they switched to the other audio output because they played Demolition Lovers, in what is probably one of the last times they're gonna play this song live. Which kinda stinks, but hey, again, at least we have this recording. After Demolition Lovers, they play my favorite 3 Cheers song, I'm Not Okay. And then the show ends with Vampires. Yay! Okay, this next part of the video is a bit more complicated. Between June and July of 2004, My Chemical Romance would embark on their first ever Warped Tour. But unfortunately, even though they released some clips from the shows, rarely any of these concerts during the tour got recorded. So I'm kinda stuck just showing you guys clips from the video diary.
We are My Chemical Romance, and we come from New Jersey, where we shoot motherfuckers like you.
So, this is your first time on the Warped Tour?
Yes.
You guys having fun so far?
Oh, it's been amazing. I want this song to go out to them. It's very personal. It's about me and Mikey's grandma. And the motherfuckers call later. If you know the words, sing it with me. What's the worst thing you
But I didn't want to skip over this one without at least mentioning it. And thankfully, Warped Tour 2005 is going to give me a bit more to talk about. And by that I mean the live EP, but I'll move on for now. Okay, before I highlight this next pretty big concert, this next topic is a bit more serious. If a lot of you have seen the video diary, Gerard was struggling with drug use and alcoholism throughout his early adult life, and it was kind of made worse with the band's first few years on tour.
That's when I started to really get heavily involved in taking pills and drinking.
What kind of pills?
Xanax.
I'm not drunk or anything. I'm a little loose though.
It's just something that, unfortunately, I felt I had to do to be Gerard on stage.
And not just that, but a lot of the lyrics in several songs are about his personal experiences with drug use, and the struggles he had trying to maintain it.
Without further ado, this song is about sucking dick for cocaine.
There's also the one track, Desert Song, which was a bonus track on the Life on the Murder Scene, was apparently recorded by Gerard when he was really drunk.
Swelled up from the rain, clouds move like a wraith. Well, after all, will lie another day.
But in the midst of his drug use and alcohol issues, he was also suffering from suicidal ideation, and it was starting to make the future look pretty bleak for the band.
I had been suicidal a couple times in my life, and not this bad. Get to the point where you start thinking about it as an escape route. That's when it gets serious. When you're like, well, if anything really bad ever happens, I'll just do this and it'll be fine and it'll be able to go away. So that was where booze and pills had gotten. I didn't want the band to ever go through like a VH1 behind the music scenario, where it's like, then everything collapsed. I didn't want that to happen.
But thankfully there was a happy ending for this. After touring Japan, Gerard decided to work on getting sober. It was reported that he was sober in 2004 and 2007, but he did have a brief relapse in 2011, though he says this was drug use, not booze. But he thankfully managed to sober up again in 2013, shortly after MCR broke up, and to this day he appears to be sober and happier, which is nice to hear. Happy Gerard is best Gerard.
Hey Pixie, it's Gerard Way wishing you happy birthday. Happy birthday.
But I'm gonna take a step back and look at the last show that's pretty prominent for the band's history. This would be the Summer Sonic 2004 Tokyo performance in Japan, which took place on August 8th. This concert is pretty special for a lot of reasons. Like, first off, the pro shot footage for it was released on a limited edition DVD, included on the Japanese release of 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. It was their last concert while touring Japan, which means this is the last time Gerard performed on stage all drugged up, and it would end up being the last show with their original drummer, Matt Pelissier, who would be kicked out the band sometime after this concert. So this is pretty much the last time the original MCR lineup would perform together. The footage on the DVD is pretty great, but what's kinda weird is that it doesn't include the full concert. It only appears to contain the 3 Cheers songs. A little strange, but it's whatever. It's still a great recording of the band at a pretty significant concert for their history. So yeah, definitely go check this out. It's a pretty solid performance from the band, and while it's not the entire concert, I'm glad we at least have pro shot footage of their last show with Matt Pelissier, and knowing that Gerard would sober up after this show is great too. As I said, after the Summer Sonic performance, their original drummer, Matt Pelissier, would be kicked out the band. There have been 2 widely speculated reasons why he was kicked out. With the first one, I just want to point out real quick, is a complete crock of shit. It was rumored that Matt apparently burnt down MCR's tour van, which Mikey and Gerard's grandmother originally bought for them, but this is actually a pretty obviously not true reason, mainly because there's literally no proof this happened, and Matt himself has deconfirmed this like multiple times. Like it's literally just a fake fan rumor that gets spread around for some reason, so I just want to clear that up. The second reason, and probably the most plausible one, is that the band was just having their own personal issues with Matt. Also, apparently the band, mainly Ray, just thought that the way Matt chose to play live was a bit sloppy, which I think led to Ray and their manager sitting down with Matt and basically telling him he's out the band. Again, this feels like the most plausible reason, also mainly because arson wasn't involved. I also came across this one person on Reddit named DanPlaysLOL11, who claims to be a personal friend of Matt and was also in a band with him, and also revealed a detail that Matt hates playing metronome live, which could lead to some sloppy playing, basically adding more to the second reason being more true. But either way, Matt was out the band, and he would pretty immediately get replaced by Bob Bryar, who would go on to have the longest stint as MCR's drummer from 2004 to 2010. Bob was an interesting figure for the band to say the least. Unlike the rest of the boys, Bob was from Chicago, not New Jersey. He was originally a sound engineer for bands like The Used and Thrice, and eventually befriended MCR while they were on tour with The Used. And one thing to note is that while Matt's drumming is the one that you hear on the Three Cheers album itself, in the music videos they feature Bob, mainly because they weren't filmed until shortly after Bob joined the band. According to Matt's wife in a pretty recent Reddit post, Bob would start sitting in on MCR's practice sessions while they were looking to replace Matt. And going off of what Frank wrote in a recent Instagram post, Bob seemingly quit his priorities as a sound engineer and had proposed the idea of him being the right drummer for MCR without the band even knowing his drumming ability. He had relearned drumming and gave pretty much everything he had for MCR, which is kind of similar if you compare it to how, Gerard quit everything just to form the band in the first place. Bob would also sacrifice for his art. While filming the music video for Famous Last Words, Bob would sustain second and third degree burns on the back of his legs while shooting, but he kept on playing until they finished filming. Unfortunately, these injuries would result in gangrene, which is a pretty brutal injury to make for this band. Like, god damn. Matt Pellissier's wife would also claim that there wasn't any bad blood between Matt or Bob when he joined the band, which is actually nice to know.
Bob is
muscle.
The muscle.
Bob, ow! Bob, my head!
Are you gonna get out?
Apart from the live tracks on the Life on the Murder Scene, Bob would later contribute to the iconic Black Parade album, and he also appears on all 10 Conventional Weapons songs, which got recorded in 2009 and later got released in 2012 and 2013. But he'd also received writing credit for a few songs on Danger Days, since some songs from the Conventional Weapons sessions were either reworked or re-recorded for that album. So yes, while Bob's work with the band was pretty damn good, I can't really gloss over the other thing about Bob. Trying to be as respectful as I possibly could, Bob was a pretty problematic person. He'd be casually racist at points, make very weird social media posts wishing death on people, and in a more recent turn of events, he was openly LGBTQ+ phobic right near the end of his life, which is a bit ironic considering the band he's most well known for. And look, I can sit here and denounce all the horrible, shitty things Bob said online, and lambast him for being shitty to people he didn't even know, but personally, I'm not going to because that's not what this video's about, and as a lot of you may know, he suddenly passed away at age 44 in November 2024, and despite all the weird behaviors and dumb bullshit he'd pull online towards both MCR fans and even the band members themselves, the band's Instagram would still pay their respects in two different posts. Mikey Way, who had a pretty weird history with Bob, would still pay tribute to him in a brief Instagram story, and Frankie Iroh, who was probably the closest to Bob when he was in the band, posted a really touching tribute to Bob that I recommend everyone go read. I'll provide a link to it in the description. I personally don't think it's healthy to look at humans so black and white, and I think the way Frankie talks about Bob in his Instagram post really shows that. As shitty as he may have been during his last few years, Bob was still human. It's a shame he didn't stick with the band and sadly went down a pretty terrible downward spiral, but though he's dead and gone, believe me, his memory will carry on, whether some fans like it or not. So rest in peace, Bob. You were such a complicated ass dude who honestly should have got the help and support he clearly needed. My heart goes out to his loved ones, his family, his pet dogs, and the rest of MCR who are very likely still trying to process his sudden passing. Godspeed, you crazy bastard.
Bob will tell you when you're wrong.
Bob is definitely a take no shit.
He doesn't take any
no shit from anybody.
You know, if there's a God, I thank him every day for having bringing us, Bob.
Next isn't a full concert, but it's another tour that I can't really talk too much about. But I didn't just want to skip over this one because this was the Nintendo Fusion Tour of 2004, which took place between September and October, in a decision that confused even the band members. Nintendo, yes, the Nintendo, during a time when they tried experimenting by doing music tours, would select My Chemical Romance as one of the bands on their 2004 Fusion Tour. This would end up being the only Fusion Tour to feature MCR. It was a pretty insane choice. And the Nintendo Fusion Tour itself didn't really last that long. Then again, this was also during the GameCube era, but as much as I loved the GameCube, that thing was not shipping units. So I'm guessing Nintendo was trying every possible avenue they could to sell their console. But while MCR were on this tour, they were actually gifted a GameCube and were even given access to playing several Nintendo games at the time. Most prominently, Donkey Konga, which would also lead to some pretty cute ass pictures of the band playing the game while on tour. And there's even some brief clips of it featured in the Life on the Murder Scene video diary.
Does being on the Nintendo Fusion Tour have lots of Nintendo benefits?
Yeah, we got, first day they gave us a GameCube.
Free Nintendo. Where? That's who the sponsors the tours, Nintendo.
They just recently gave us Donkey Konga, the bongo game.
Oh!
Not only that, but GameStar conducted a pretty solid interview with Gerard talking about the tour, which I would recommend checking out.
I don't know how we feel about clashing with the Nintendo image. I think the closest Nintendo thing we come close to is probably Resident Evil. I mean, which just happens to be my favorite game. Yeah, it was really weird when they asked us. We were like, they know what the lyrics are like, right? And, you know, but they really just wanted bands they liked on it. And they really didn't care too much about, like, what that band, as far as image-wise, or what they projected.
And during the interview, Gerard even talks about Burnout 3, which is one of my personal favorite video games, and I'm Not Okay was even featured on the game's soundtrack, because that's how fucking good it is. It also released in that September while they were on the Fusion Tour, which is pretty neat, even though Burnout 3 was the one Burnout game that wasn't even on GameCube. Regardless, it's still one of my personal favorite video games, and I'm glad MCR was in it. Just makes it so much better.
We have a song, and probably one of the coolest video games right now is Burnout 3, and it's a great game. We picked it up, and it's just really awesome, and it's super fun. It's gotten great reviews, and we're really happy to be in that.
So moving on to another thing the band did that I can't really pinpoint when it happened in 2004, but MCR would contribute a song to the album Kevin and Bean's Christmas Time in the 909, where the band made a pretty kick-ass cover of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. It is probably the only version of this song that I'll willingly listen to. It's pretty awesome.
I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need, and I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. But I don't need to hang my stocking way above the fireplace. Santa Claus will make me happy with a toy on Christmas Day.
Very Three Cheers coded. Even funnier, this is probably the first song they released that featured Bob Bryar on drums. What a way to start his career with the band. And I'm sure some people may know this, but this cover would later be included on the 2009 Christmas compilation album, Gift Wrapped, 20 Songs That Keep On Giving, which you can stream digitally today. So if you somehow haven't heard of this cover before, go check it out, even if you hate this song. It's a great rendition of it. Next is a performance that the band did for MTV Discover and Download on November 8th. The band would perform I'm Not Okay and Helena, and they're pretty kick-ass performances. The I'm Not Okay performance was also released on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD. Next is something I couldn't really find out when it was recorded, but the most popular upload I could find of it links it with MTV Discover and Download. It appears to be a live session that was professionally recorded, where the boys play 4 songs from 3 Cheers, and I didn't want to skip over it because these are great performances. The boys play Prison, I'm Not Okay, Ghost of You, and Helena.
Say a prayer. That's all you had to say. I never want to let you down or have you go explode. Remember dirty looks, the photographs your boyfriend took. Remember when you broke up and put you jumping out the second floor at the end of the way. Or the last thing I see, you are never coming home, never coming home tonight. Should I?
I gotta say, Gerard's eccentric performances never get old. Also, his vocals sound amazing during Ghost of You. Just some pretty fantastic and energetic performances. The next concert I'll highlight is the band's performance for KROQ Almost Acoustic Christmas in Universal City, California on December 12th. The full show is available in a very low quality pro shot, but it's still watchable at least. They were also opening for Green Day, who would later perform the entirety of American Idiot at their concert, but that's a topic for a different video. So while a lot of MCR's set here is mostly 3 Cheers, they do still play one song from Bullets, which is Honey, This Mirror Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us. And they dedicate the song to the band The Used, who they had toured with previously, and were pretty close friends with them for a time. I'll discuss that a bit more later, but it was not a happy marriage.
Are you excited for our friends in The Used? Here's an old song goes out to them.
But speaking of The Used, after Honey, they perform You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, and Burt McCracken, the lead singer of The Used, gets on stage and performs the song with the band, just like he originally did on the 3 Cheers album. And they close the show with I'm Not Okay, and it's a great performance like before. Next is a quick highlight of when the band appeared on the Late Night with Conan O'Brien show in New York, New York on December 17th.
Wait, you watched Conan?
The band played I'm Not Okay, and it's another great performance, etc, etc, and it was also released on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD, so go check it out.
Time and time again you sing the words, but don't want me to be a joke and look another line without a hook.
Alright, the next concert is a pretty legendary one that happened at the Starland Ballroom in Sayreville, New Jersey, and it was the last concert the band played in 2004. Kinda. Yeah, this is where it gets a little complicated. About 30 minutes of professionally shot footage was released on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD. However, they played this exact same venue on 2 different dates, which was December 30th, 2004 and January 1st, 2005. And they don't specify on the DVD which dates these performances were recorded on, and just credits them as live at the Starland Ballroom. So that's a little weird, but despite not knowing when these were filmed or how the set list is actually laid out, there's still really fun performances. Also, getting more pro shot footage of Bullet songs getting played is really sweet. Speaking of bullets, on the CD version of Life on the Murder Scene, which you can currently stream on Spotify and whatnot, the Head First for Halo's performance was included as a live track, and it's also obviously on the DVD, making it the second time Head First for Halo's got a live track. Though, kinda similar to the previous one from the Knitting concert in 2003, they appear to have cut out the album intro for some reason. Whatever, it's still a good live track. On the topic of Starland Ballroom live tracks, the Helena performance was released as a live track single on Spotify and Amazon Music, but you can't appear to stream it in the USA. It doesn't really matter anyways, it is on the DVD, but it is kinda weird that the live track version just isn't available so easily. As I was editing the video, I did manage to find a copy of the live track, and I discovered that it was actually censored, which I'm not too sure why. It's uncensored on the DVD, so that was a strange discovery. However, and I'm not sure if a lot of people really know about this, not only do we have the pro shot footage that was officially released on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD, but there was also a TV broadcast for this concert, and it even includes 3 songs that weren't even on the DVD. The songs were You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, The Ghost of You, and one of my personal favorites from 3 Cheers, To the End. And this was also apparently the live debut of To the End, which makes it pretty special, but also a bit more frustrating that it wasn't included on the DVD. Either way, I'm glad we at least got the TV broadcast of it. It's one of my all-time favorite MCR songs. Going right into 2005, the first significant performance the band did was on The Late Show with David Letterman on January 13th. Just like on Conan, the band played I'm Not Okay, which is another solid performance. Go check it out. Next is another live performance they did for I'm Not Okay, but this one was for a show called Total Request Live, aka TRL, which happened on January 17th. Though what's significant about this performance is that it happened on live TV, in front of millions of viewers, and it would even be discussed during the Life on the Murder Scene video diary.
And then came TRL, which was
That
terrifying.
was so weird.
Terrifying, because it's live TV.
Unfortunately, the only copy we have of this performance is in pretty low quality, but I still wanted to bring it up because it's pretty iconic, but it also has a pretty infamous part during it where midway through the performance, Frank climbed on Bob's drum set and ended up knocking some of it over, which forced Bob to finish the rest of the song without a kick drum, which honestly is pretty impressive.
We got about halfway through that song, which is live on TV. And Frank ended up on top of my kick drum.
And then inside hitters.
And then jumped off and pulled half of my drum set off the riser. And I finished the song. I just made up shit.
Yeah, you did the kick parts on the top.
Yeah, I was just making up stuff.
So despite fucking up the drum kit, it's still a pretty great and iconic performance. I just wish we had better quality footage of it. Kinda weird that it wasn't on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD. Must have been a licensing issue with the TV show or something. Well, the next performance is something that was professionally shot and officially released on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD, which were the AOL Sessions at Avatar Studios in New York on February 17th. The band would play 4 songs from 3 Cheers, Helena, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, The Ghost of You, and I'm Not Okay, I Promise. They're pretty fantastic performances, and I'm glad the band officially released these.
classic jail. Here we go, here we go. I hope you know that this is gonna go down on your permanent record.
Plus, not only are all 4 performances on the DVD, but they were also on the CD version, which you can stream digitally today. So go check these out if you haven't, especially if you enjoy these live sessions performances. Alright, the next concert to highlight is a pretty iconic one, and it's the MTV $2 Bill concert at Niagara Falls, New York on March 1st. Obviously, this aired on MTV too, but a few performances were also released on Life on the Murder Scene, with both the CD and DVD having exclusive performances. The CD includes Thank You for the Venom, Cemetery Drive, and Give 'Em Hell Kid, and while the DVD does exclude Cemetery Drive, meaning we only have the audio for that performance because it wasn't even aired on TV either, but it also included The Ghost of You, and You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison. Really, the only 2 performances that the DVD left out were I'm Not Okay and The Encore, which included My Chemical Romance and The Used performing their Under Pressure cover by Queen, and both bands would officially release their Under Pressure cover later in April 12th of that year.
Well, if you wanted honesty, that's all you had to say. I never want to let you down or have you go it, but I'll run this way. For all the dirty looks, the photographs your boyfriend took. Remember when you broke your foot for just jumping out the second floor of pressure, pushing down on me, pressing down on you, no man I swear. Under pressure, that mounts a building down, puts a family too, puts people in suits.
Also, The Used and My Chemical Romance have a very weird history. According to some speculation, early on they were pretty close. Burt McCracken even appeared on You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, but apparently sometime after Gerard got sober, they really started drifting apart. And unfortunately, Burt was not sobering up at the time, so really it just didn't sound like a healthy environment to be around. It would also kind of be speculated that the Used song Pretty Handsome Awkward is actually a diss track about Gerard, like Burt McCracken even confirmed that at points. When it comes to nowadays, some fans do suspect that they're on better terms, but are nowhere near as close as they were 20 years ago. And with the continued success of My Chemical Romance, and The Used never really managing to reach that level of success, I still wonder if there's maybe some bitterness between the 2 bands, especially considering pretty recently Burt is still throwing shade at MCR.
We've been an emo band now for 24 fucking years. We never broke up, ladies and gentlemen. We never took a fucking break. We've been here the whole fucking time.
It's a very weird one-sided beef. Though a fan theory about the Sharpest Lives on Black Parade is that it's pretty blatantly about Bert, so take that how you will. Sharpest Lives is a better song too, but that's a story for a different video. But regardless, check out the MTV $2 Bill concert because it's fun, and it's one of the band's best shows. Okay, this next performance, I couldn't really pinpoint when or where it was recorded, so a lot of you can bark at me in the comments for getting this wrong, but on the Life on the Murder Scene DVD, this got placed after the AOL Sessions and the MTV $2 Bill videos, so I'm just gonna place it here for now. Labeled Live at Launch, they're pro-shot videos of the band performing I'm Not Okay and Helena. They're great performances like before, and I didn't just want to skip over them, so there you go. Next is a concert clip that happened in Portland, Maine on March 2nd. This was when the band was on the Taste of Chaos tour, with a pro-shot video of them performing Give 'Em Hell Kid being featured on the Taste of Chaos DVD, which is a pretty great performance. There's not any other video clips for this concert, but the DVD does include an interview with the band, so be sure to check that out too.
You guys have any funny stories? Anything funny happened yet?
If anything funny is gonna happen,
Jeffa got naked and put a pineapple in front of him.
Yes, he covered his junk with a pineapple. That was really funny.
Moving on, the next performance I recommend looking up is when the band was on Jimmy Kimmel Live on April 4th. Unlike the last few Late Show appearances, instead of I'm Not Okay, they played Helena, which is a nice mix-up, and it's a great performance. Next is a concert that took place for KROQ Weenie Roast 2005 in Irvine, California on May 21st. The full show is available in pro-shot form, but the video quality is pretty fucking terrible. The audio sounds great though, so if you can get past the video, then definitely check this one out. This must be another one of those famous low-quality MCR videos I've heard so much about. I really enjoy that the setlist here is a great mix of Bullets and Three Cheers songs, so stuff like Headfirst for Halos and Our Lady of Sorrows makes appearances too. Plus, before Headfirst for Halos, they played To the End live. It's a blast.
a picture of the body she lands. Got nasty business from the money she spends. She's got a life of her own and it shows by the bit. She does at 95, the Bobby's a girl. If you ever say never too late, I'll forget how the time is to wait. Lost the coma, cover the cake, increase the medication, shed a fast the weight.
Oh yeah, you may have noticed Gerard's hair. A huge part of it got bleached. Supposedly, later on he was going to try to dye it blue, but it ended up backfiring and it came out teal. So if you wanted that bonus info about Teal Roots Gerard, then there you go. So be sure to check out this KROQ show, it's really fun. I just wish we had better video footage of it.
Things were better if I stayed. So long and good night. So long and good night.
Before I get to the next show, the band performed at the Rock am Ring Music Festival for the first time, but I can't find a single piece of video footage anywhere. Like, no pro shot, no radio broadcast, there's not even any audience recordings either. That's so strange. I'm gonna guess maybe the label must have blocked MCR from getting broadcast at the time, since it was pretty common for bands at this point to get a webcast from this venue, but MCR just doesn't have one. But thankfully in the next episode when I look at their 2007 Rock am Ring show, I'll have way more to talk about. I just wish we had something from their 2005 performance. Maybe some video or audio will surface later, who knows. Thankfully, their next concert, which was at the Download Festival in England on June 10th, does have a decent amount of footage from it. The full show isn't available, but a solid 20 minutes of it was broadcast on TV, with most of it thankfully being compiled by the channel, The Academy is My Beautiful Romance. The video recordings are still pretty low quality, you just gotta get used to that during the mid-2000s era of the band, but it's still great that we have a decent amount of the show available. According to Setlist.fm, the band also played Cemetery Drive and To the End, but neither song got broadcast. It's a shame, but I still recommend checking out this concert if you haven't. Plus, getting a pro shot for Our Lady of Sorrows is still really cool. I'm glad the Bullet songs haven't completely disappeared yet. Next was the pretty significant Warped Tour of 2005, which lasted from June to August. Some footage from these shows are available, but the most significant thing about this tour is that it actually got an official bootleg EP as part of the Warped Tour 05 bootleg series, which contained recordings from different shows. The songs included were I'm Not Okay, Thank You for the Venom, Helena, Cemetery Drive, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, and Give 'Em Hell Kid. They're pretty solid live tracks that I recommend looking up.
If you wanted honesty, that's all you had to say. I never want to let you down or have you going better off this way. From the dirty looks, the photographs your boyfriend took. Remember when you broke up? Sing it, motherfuckers! And what's the way I share today? From every heart to operate like a rain. Sing as loud as you can. To your room, one the ask of you might make you want to say so long. When I don't remember, I remember.
Though ironically, you might need to bootleg these, because despite the fact that these were officially released, and were even available digitally on Spotify for a while, for some reason you can't stream them in the US anymore, most likely due to licensing issues. It's kinda weird, but I still recommend looking up this EP, it's a lot of fun to listen to, and it's pretty cool that we got something like this.
I miss you so
Next is a TV broadcast of a show from Hard Rock Live in Orlando, Florida on June 27th. This was broadcast as part of Nokia Unwind on August 31st, and it's not the entire concert either. Only about 20 minutes of the show was released, but it's still a really fun watch.
In the center of the restaurant, they say, come with your arms where it's time. Well, they're never gonna get me. When I can burn through like a dives, two ways, this for her, just your face.
Something this TV broadcast doesn't really highlight is how, at this point of the band's career, their concerts were getting a bit longer. Not just the usual half-hour shows they started out doing. But I guess for now, go check out the TV broadcast for Hard Rock Live. It's a great selection of performances, but I do wish the full show got released. Okay, these next two concerts, or one of them at least, was probably the biggest disappointment for me while making this video, was when MCR played at the 2005 Reading and Leeds Festivals. Just like Rock am Ring, this was the first time they ever played these festivals, but also like Rock am Ring, I once again couldn't find any video from either show, aside from a couple photos. The Reading Festival is my favorite music festival in the world. A lot of my favorite bands played their best concerts there, in my opinion, so the fact we don't have any recordings of MCR's first show there is pretty disappointing. No radio broadcasts or bootlegs either, though thankfully their later appearances in 2006 and 2011 will give me a lot more to work with. MCR's Reading 2011 show is my favorite MCR concert, by the way. I love the set list, I love the vibes, I love the energy, but obviously I'll save talking about it more in a future episode. Next is a pretty iconic performance of Helena at the MTV Video Music Awards in Miami, Florida on August 28th. Helena was nominated for several awards that day, but sadly the band went home empty-handed. But regardless, their performance of Helena at the show was fantastic. It even features Helena on stage dancing, and she even spins into the crowd. The song was also cut a bit short, but who cares? The band may not have gone home with awards that day, but they did win our hearts, goddammit, and that's all that matters.
This one's for you, Grandma!
Next will be the second to last concert I featured in the video, which was at the arena at Gwinnett Center on October 8th. There's no video footage, but there is an audio recording, which sounds okay.
Come on! I'm here to fucking
At the very least, I'm grateful we have a full recording because this is a spectacular set list. Every song from 3 Cheers makes an appearance here. Yeah, the full album. Not played in order, obviously, but still spread around really well in the set list, giving us pretty rare recordings of a lot of these songs, including the Jet Set Life Is Gonna Kill You, which became pretty rare to see played live. Speaking of rare songs, they also play a cover of Astro Zombies by the Misfits, which would later get featured on the soundtrack for Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, which came out 10 days after the concert. It's a pretty fun cover, and also a significant one since the Misfits were a pretty major influence to MCR. Plus, later on in 2012, MCR did a brief interview with Tony Hawk where they talk about recording the cover, and also how they would actually play Tony Hawk Pro Skater while recording their first album back in 2002, which is pretty cute.
The reason we started was because in our practice studio we would have 2 bands going. I was in another band, and there was 2 rooms. And one room would be the practice room, and one room would be the video game room. So when my band would stop practicing, then I would go in the other room and I would get high and I'd play Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater has a lot to do with My Chemical Romance existing.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad to be the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
So as payback, you guys did a song on Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Yes.
In terms of other stuff we see at this show, not only does every 3 Cheers song make an appearance, but we also get a decent portion of Bullet songs, which even includes a unique live version of Romance, the opening instrumental track from the album, but this version features lyrics, which is so cool. However, the craziest thing about this concert, yes, even crazier than hearing all of 3 Cheers, that live version of Romance, and even the Astro Zombies cover, not only did we get all of that, but we also hear a bit of the Black Parade. This concert would be one of the first times they performed a brand new song, which was originally called Shut Up and Play at the time, but it's actually an early version of Disenchanted from the Black Parade. Holy shit!
Wait for a hospital stay. And if you think that I'm right, it's never been nothing to you.
What a pleasant surprise. This is so cool. The Black Parade is my favorite MCR album. There are like no skips on it for me, and Disenchanted is easily one of the most underrated songs on the album. It's so good, and I'm really glad we have a recording of them playing this early version of it live. Not to mention, it sounds very similar to the live demo that later appeared on the Living with Ghosts album, which was the 10th anniversary reissue of the Black Parade.
With nothing to say about a lifelong wait for a hospital stay. If you believe in a God, it's never meant nothing to you. Whoa, whoa.
God, it's so cool. So be sure to give this concert a listen. It's fantastic, it's so good, and the encore features Vampires Will Never Hurt You and I'm Not Okay, which is sick.
I never
This next concert I probably won't talk about for too long, mainly because it has a very similar setlist to the last show. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but this time the show is available in a great video recording. This took place at the Carling Academy Brixton in London, England on November 4th. The video comes from a rare unseen bootleg that wasn't released until 2021, so shout out to the channel Jason is Lost in Japan for sharing this. As I said, the setlist is mostly the same as the last show, so you're getting every song from 3 Cheers, a decent amount of stuff from Bullets, including the live version of Romance with Lyrics, Though there is one change. Instead of playing Astro Zombies, they play a cover of Song 2 by Blur. It's probably one of the only live recordings we have of them playing the song, despite the obvious one that I'll get to later, so it's pretty cool that we have video of them playing it. But of course, my personal favorite part of this concert is that they once again played their brand new song, Shut Up and Play. You know, the Disenchanted demo. God, it's so cool listening to this early version of the song, and comparing it to how it sounds on the Black Parade. It's also just cool seeing the band continue planning ahead, since the Black Parade obviously didn't come out for another year. But yeah, I love this song, and I'm glad we have a video clip of it. So definitely go check out this bootleg recording, especially if you enjoyed the last show but just wished it had video. So here's a second option. Alright, and next is the last real live performance of the video, which was a recording session at BBC Radio 1 Studios in London, England on November 7th. The only known songs that were played here were I'm Not Okay and the cover of Song 2. I don't think they ever released the I'm Not Okay performance, but the recording of Song 2 did get released and was featured on the album BBC Radio 1's Live Lounge Volume 1, which came out in 2006. This was the only real official release of this cover, so I'm glad we have it because it sounds really good.
It wasn't easy for nothing.
The only issue is that it's not available on streaming services. Well, at least not in the US. So you're gonna have to really go digging for this one. But it's not too hard to find online though. On that note, this feels like a good spot to end the video. And there you have it, the first episode of MCR Live. What a crazy time we had looking at all these shows and other things. Obviously, the next episode's gonna focus on the Black Parade era, which lasted from 2006 to 2009. Hopefully it's not gonna take too long to come out, but I don't want to jinx it. Plus there are other retrospective videos I gotta work on too. But for now, thank you for watching this first episode of this new series. If there was any concert or performance I may have missed in this video, or if there's anything you'd like to see me cover in the next episode, let me know in the comments. I hope the MCR fandom appreciated what I tried doing here. I'm still a relatively new fan of this band, but I love learning about them and I really wanted to talk about all this crap. I'm also gonna plug this real quick. This video is not gonna be monetized, mostly due to the copyrighted content, so if you guys want to support me to keep making these videos, please consider pledging to my Patreon. If you pledge just $1, then your name's gonna appear in this special thanks section, which you're looking at right now. Any amount of support really helps. It's much appreciated. So thank you Edward Miller, Omar, John DeBarra, Millhouse, Orpheus, Solsixrus, Stephen Wright, and Turtle Power. And just before I go, I want to give another shout out to my friends Emmy and Shaddix. If there's any two people I made this video for, it's definitely them. Thank you both for your support. And Emmy also recently passed 100,000 subscribers. She makes really good music and covers, and for the MCR fans watching, she actually did a cover of I Don't Love You a few years ago, which now that she's actually made me an MCR fan, I definitely appreciate that cover way more. So go check out her channel, along with Shaddix. His channel's pretty epic too. I want to give another special thanks to Spacey Raygun for uploading all those old audio recordings of MCR. Their archiving and preservation is much appreciated, and I think it made this video way more fun to make. So thanks Ray, and another shout out to the Academy is My Beautiful Romance. That channel makes great content, keep up the great work. And another quick shout out to the MCR Archive, a fan account that tries to archive as much MCR content as possible, including their live concerts, so their documentation really proved helpful for this video. And one more thanks goes to Phantom Havoc from GDC, who sent me over his own archive of MCR stuff he collected. That was much appreciated, thank you. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Not much else to really say except, so long and good night. So long, not good night. Seriously, thank you for watching. Take care.
Do you have anything to say to these people?
Your mom's coming. You should be ashamed of yourself.